When the crab becomes a 10-ton marine overlord, the frog is no longer a delicacy in your eyes, and the jellyfish even flies up into the sky to dominate the night. The French-baked snails are giving you a defiant look. Your favorite table food is now the owner of the top of the food chain, and it all came from an asteroid that was about to hit the Earth. Although scientists launched all the rockets to stop its fall, an even bigger crisis crept in. The massive amount of chemicals inside the rockets spread around the world, directly causing all snakes, insects, ants and cold-blooded animals to mutate. In just 1 year's time, 95% of the world's population fell into the mouths of mutated monsters, while the remaining 5% of survivors could only hide in sunless bunkers and languish. Joel is one of them, but he is weak in combat and his daily job is not only milking but also cooking. He tried to fight like a man, but as long as he faced monsters, even just the most ordinary giant ants, he would instantly freeze in place with stiff limbs, and then he would once again be saved by his companions in time. His problem goes back 7 years. At that time, he and his first girlfriend Amy were just about to develop further when the end of the world came quietly. Amy was worried about her family, so she had to say goodbye to Joel in a hurry.
I'm gonna come find you.
You better.
When Joel was about to leave in the car, he saw his parents being crushed to death by a monster that appeared out of nowhere. Since then, this scene has left an indelible shadow in his heart. As an orphan, his only spiritual support is his girlfriend Amy, who was more than 100 kilometers away from him, but the cowardly man could only express his thoughts through the radio during these 7 years. However, this day, Joel made a bold decision.
I love you guys, but there's one person in this world who ever truly made me happy, and she's only 85 miles away. I'm gonna go see her.
Determined, he immediately put on his backpack and grabbed his homemade crossbow. When his companions saw his determination, they could only respect his decision. They also thoughtfully gave him a map and a hug. Thus, after 7 years, Joel once again saw the long-lost sunshine in the human society that was gradually eliminated by nature. He walked into a dilapidated house and just opened the refrigerator door. The unknown monster inside scared him immediately to run away, but suddenly an eye emerged from the abandoned pond in the backyard. Before he knew it, a second one appeared, and when he took a closer look, the giant bullfrog spat out its 10-meter-long tongue at him. When Joel fell to the ground and opened his eyes, there was suddenly a dog around him. Without thinking, Joel turned and fled when the dog howled at the monster, but before he could run out of the yard, he was knocked away by the monster. His right leg was wrapped around the monster's tongue and was about to become a meal for the monster. The key time where the dog bit the monster's tongue, he was successfully rescued. After getting out of danger, Joel followed the dog to the abandoned bus where it lived, and he realized that the dog's owner had also been killed. Perhaps because of the feeling of compassion, Joel decided to take the dog with him on the road. On the road, he saw a berry. Joel was about to eat it, but the dog was restless and stopped him, and he realized that the dog could recognize toxicity. While walking, Joel suddenly fell into a cave. The cave was surrounded by numerous irregular nests, and there were unknown creatures moving around in the nests. Joel picked up the bone stick on the ground and looked around nervously. Just then a rope suddenly fell on Joel. In the moment of countless mutant insects rushed out, Joel put the rope on his feet, which succeeded in escaping, and saved him as Clyde and his daughter. They are preparing to go to the stronghold on the snowy mountains in the north, where it is said that monsters are scarce because of the altitude and temperature. In understanding Joel's situation after the kindness of the two also decided to take him on a section. Along the way, Clyde taught Joel various survival tips, such as the different weaknesses of different monsters, how to find antitoxin serum after poisoning, and even how to distinguish between good and bad monsters through the eyes. Just like this big snail they happened to see in the forest, with big round eyes full of ignorance. Therefore, as long as we remain still, the snail will not initiate an attack. Then, Clyde put Joel's clothes on the snail's back, so that the frog that had been chasing Joel could also be lured away. Joel also tried to compile a book of every kind of monster he encountered, trying to help as many people as possible, and Clyde's daughter's side is responsible for training Joel's fighting ability. In just a few days, Joel became a marksman with 10 steps, but the world does not have a banquet. Although they do not want to separate, but in order to pursue their own goals and hopes, they will eventually have to separate. After adjusting your mood, a man and a dog again embarked on the road to find love, but after a section of the swamp, the dog suddenly became anxious and restless, and then darted into a small yellow duck under. Joel also realized that the danger is coming, The next second, countless tentacles out of the ground. Joel turned his head. A huge centipede of doom slowly climbing out of the ground. He trembled and took out his crossbow and carefully loaded his arrow. The fallen Joel saw the monster wrapped around the little yellow duck. At this moment, Joel finally overcame his inner fear. He resolutely pulled the trigger. Joel did not let the past regret repeat itself and succeeded in saving the dog. At night, it was raining heavily and Joel came to an abandoned town to escape the rain. Here, he inadvertently found an intelligent robot that was about to run out of power. Joel carried it to the outside of the house and let its life stay forever in this picturesque scene. The next day, Joel continued his journey, but the familiar scene repeated itself. And the dog, sensing danger, once again ran away quickly. Joel had no choice but to turn around again and look at the dorsal fin on the ground. Joel realized that it was the sandworm queen that Clyde had mentioned. Thinking of its habits and weaknesses, Joel picked up the toys on the ground to successfully lure the monster away and then took the dog into a tree stump to hide. Sandworm Queen also came behind him at this time. See this, he tightly covered the dog's mouth. But when the monster had just left, Joel did not have time to breathe a sigh of relief when he saw the dog jumped into the water in order to retrieve his former master's relics. The monster that heard the sound attacked again. Joel quickly took out the grenade in his bag in the nick of time. Once again, Joel became a monster killer and felt like the Tom Cruise of Doomsday Edition. Excited, he just returned to the shore but found 2 more swollen blood-sucking leeches on his arms. He tried to lift his shirt. He found more on him, so 1 second Joel was a superhero, and the next second he had leech poisoning. Before he was conscious, Joel was lucky enough to find the plant containing the anti-poison mentioned by Clyde. He used his last strength to put the plant into his mouth and then completely lost consciousness. I don't know how long it took to reopen his eyes. Joel was surprised to find himself in a cave. The one who was beside him was Amy, the girlfriend he had been thinking about all day. 7 years of longing plus 7 days of life and death adventures. At this moment, Joel, the warrior of pure love, finally found a girlfriend, but reality slaps him in the face. Seeing him, Amy was not as happy as he thought, but took the excuse to leave. Puzzled, Joel chased after them and learned that there were several strange survivors in their shelter, and they also have an old cruise ship is planning to take all the survivors to find a new land. Just as everyone is looking forward to a better life, Joel finds Amy again to express his feelings, but Amy says she is no longer the same person she was 7 years ago. In the past 7 years she has experienced too many things, lost all her family and even her lover. Hearing this, Joel's fantasy completely shattered. The original clown has always been himself. All this is just his wishful thinking. At this moment he missed his companions in the bunker. He took out the map given to him by his companions and realized that the back of the map was filled with blessings for him. Joel finally realizes that maybe that's where his home is. Just as he was about to return immediately, he was surprised to find that the survivors had brought him berries. He takes a closer look and sees that these are the same poisonous wild berries he found earlier. Joel realizes that this is a huge conspiracy, but just as he finds Amy and is about to tell him the truth, Joel wakes up again to find everyone under control. The man, who calls himself the captain, finally reveals his true colors. It turns out that he and his man are not survivors, but bandits who have been looting. Their yacht has no fuel at all and is powered by an enslaved hell crab. As soon as they found any shelter, they would take all the resources and use the humans inside as food for the monsters. As soon as the words were spoken, the captain controlled the 10-ton hell crab to the shore. Amy struggled to break free under the crisis of life and death, picking up an iron door to help Joel cut the rope first. Then she transformed into a female version of Captain America, lifting the iron gate and rushing directly towards the captain's man. The other side of Joel is also not shy to pick up weapons. He instantly transformed into the Arthur. Seeing the situation, the captain immediately activated the device with electricity to wake up the hell crab. Joel was then slapped away with a pincer and watched as the hell crab approached Joel step by step. At the critical moment, the dog came to the rescue, using its small body to block Joel's front. The captain, whose patience was running out, ordered his men to finish off the dog, but Amy used the stick to change the trajectory of the missile, and she herself was then knocked unconscious by a punch from the captain. At the critical moment, Joel let the dog wake up Amy, and he regained his trident to block in front of the hell crab. But the monster, which was constantly being wrecked by the electric current, became more and more frenzied, and Joel was rubbed by its big pincers on the ground. Joel immediately asked her to throw the arm cannon to himself, but just as he was about to finish off the hell crab, Joel hesitated. As the others waited anxiously, he opened the cannon and shattered the chains controlling the hell crab with precision. Not surprisingly, the freed hell crab did not hurt Joel but turned his head and jumped into the sea towards the cruise ship. There is a spirit in all things. Good and evil will be rewarded. The three eventually fell into the monster's rations. Afterwards, before saying goodbye to Amy, Joel suggested that Amy could take his companion to the snowy mountains in the north. And after experiencing life and death together, Amy also found herself falling in love with Joel once again. At the end of the story, Joel successfully returns to the bunker and takes Tim and friends on the road. The once cowardly Joel overcame his fear and the monster with love. Even at the end of the world, he did not give in to life.